Save money with these simple homemade recipes. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Today we are talking all about saving in the grocery store and tips to save when you are shopping. We're going to be making two different recipes. Both are from our cookbook that you can get if you complete our survey. So the two recipes we're going to be making are our Beefy Skillet dinner, this is one of my all-time favorites. It's almost like a homemade hamburger helper type recipe. It's really good. We've got some veggies in there as well. And it's just simple ingredients that hopefully you already have on hand. And then we also are going to be making carrot cake bites. We're doing a little spin to them, so we'll see how those turn out. But we're going to start right here with our Beefy Skillet dinner. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and brown our meat. I did the ground turkey. Now, whenever you are shopping for this, you want to look for that leaner option. Yes, even ground turkey can be higher in fat. So the cheapest option is usually that 85%, which is I think 15% fat. And if you go up a little bit, the next one would be a 93.7, and then there's an even leaner option. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on that. You could, I said it's called Beefy Skillet Dinner. You could do beef because that's what it originally called for. Turkey was on sale and it was just something different I hadn't had in a little bit, so I thought that is why I picked that. So just keep that in mind when you are shopping, especially for your meats. A lot of meats are there's a lot of ways we can substitute meats for other meats. So especially ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, any of those are fine options for this recipe. So whatever your family enjoys and whatever is on sale, go buy that. So we have our pan on about medium. I did put a little oil in there, and we're just gonna add that in, and we'll start letting that cook a bit. Now, another way, when you are planning your meals, we talked about this of just planning and planning what is on sale for your menu for the week. So a tip for you when you are trying to save a little bit of money is check out your frequent flyer sheets. Usually those are mailed to you, or you might get them in an email. A lot of that is popular now is they'll just email it to you. Check what is on sale for that week. I think at Food Lion, the sale changes it runs through Tuesday. So you'll get a new sale on Wednesday. So you could even, if you're shopping on a Monday and then shopping again on a Sunday, not if you want to shop every week, but you do have more options of what you could switch things up with. So just keep that in mind. Know when your sales start and end. And then utilize that in your cooking. So when you're planning your meals, make sure you're double checking that so that you can save a little bit of cash and have still a healthy meal for your family. So the next thing we're doing is we are gonna chop our onion. I'm trying a trick from TikTok to make me not cry. So we'll see how this goes. If you take a damp paper towel and put it next to our onion, hopefully it'll be attracted to that instead of my eyes. So I'm using half an onion here. Our recipe calls for 1/3 cup of chopped onion. So we're just gonna use this whole half. This is left over from another recipe that I had. So a great way to utilize what you already have on hand is, when you are in that planning phase, checking what you've got on hand and then make that fit with your recipe. So you guys saw me, I always chop it one vertically and then I go back and chop it the other way, and it makes it into those little diced pieces. That way we utilize our whole onion. not crying so far, so I think it works. So I like to run my knife back through and just chop them a little bit smaller, especially if you've got any picky eaters that don't like certain foods or they don't want to see certain foods. You can chop them really fine so that they won't even know it's there. And since we're gonna mix that in with our noodles, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that into our dry noodle dish here. All right. So our meat is cooking up really nicely over here. We want that to be fully cooked before we do the rest of, add in the rest of our ingredients. This is a pretty quick meal. It doesn't take long. Once you cook your meat, you just go ahead and throw everything else in, and it'll have to sit for about 10 minutes and then it's done. So very simple and easy. So I'll finish this up. We'll see you guys back in just a second to make our onion soup mix that is homemade.
Introducing the Star Communications app. All the tools you need in one convenient location. You can access Watch TV everywhere. Check local channel lineup. Check your Star email. View and pay your Star bill. Report troubles. Use your Star security app. Check your home voicemail. Sign up for Crowd Fiber. Check your Wi-Fi speed. The list keeps going and going. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play.
All right, so we have our ground turkey is done. It looks good. We don't have to drain it. You can actually see that there's not a ton of excess, liquid or anything. So it is good to go. We will make our soup mix next. Now it's an onion soup mix, so you could buy the packets as well if you'd rather do that. Benefit to this is that you can make a whole jar. I love to put it in a mason jar just because it looks cute, and store it that way. You could do it in a bag or something else as well, or a Tupperware container, and then you'll have that available for other recipes. So we don't use any salt in this, so it helps to cut back on sodium, which is what you get a lot of in your onion soup mix. So for this, we've got a couple different spices, all things that hopefully you have on hand. They're not strange or abnormal spices to have. First one is black pepper. So we need a teaspoon of black pepper. Should probably use this side. Well, can't get that open, so. And then we also are using a teaspoon of garlic powder. So this is another way that you can also save by making your own spices and spice mixes instead of going and spending a good amount of money on pre-made spice blends. You can make your own and then have plenty left over to use it again and again. And then we need 1 tablespoon actually of our onion powder. And we also have onion flakes in there. We're doing a whole tablespoon of onion flakes. And we have a little bit of cornstarch. This will help to kind of thicken up your mix of whatever you're putting it in. Actually, I think we need a tablespoon of that. And then the last thing, which is our beef bouillon. So I like to buy these sodium-free ones, just again, watching that sodium. They're not very expensive. We're using a teaspoon, and our instructions say a teaspoon is 1 packet. So you can read the container if you have little packets like this to make sure that they are the right size, or you can get the kind that comes in a jar and you just measure it out yourself. And that's all that we use for our mix. You could double or triple this. We shake it up, and you've got your onion soup mix. Pretty easy. All right, so we're gonna stir in this, and we need 3 tablespoons of our onion soup mix. Which might be this whole amount. And then we also need our water, our onions. So I've got some onions mixed with my macaroni noodles here. Tomato sauce. Remember to buy that salt, no salt added. And I've got my pan here on low for right now, just as I'm adding everything in. So just mix it all together a little bit. And then we'll dump in that water. And then we also need some corn. So I've just used regular fresh corn because it is in season right now. So you could use canned corn. Our recipe actually calls for canned corn. Could use frozen if you prefer that. Whatever you have on hand. I absolutely love fresh corn. I just think it tastes so good. So what I actually did was I cooked this in the microwave, and you cook it for about 4 minutes. So you do about 2 cobs at a time, and I just wrap it in a paper towel. You can leave the husk on. I tend to go ahead and remove the husk when I'm in the grocery store. That way, you know, you don't have to, you get a good piece of corn. If you get one that looks not so great, you can go ahead and not buy that one, throw it away or something. So, got a few kernels that got burnt here. So we'll add that in. Just gonna break that up a little bit. I did already, like I said, husk it and silk it, get all the silks off. But I'm just using 2 cobs. So I'll finish cutting this one up and then add it to my mixture. We'll let that cook for about 10 minutes. We want it to get to a boil. We'll let it cook for about 10 minutes. And then while it's doing its thing, we'll move on to the next thing. So I'll see y'all back in just 1 second.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
All right, so we have our skillet recipe still cooking a little bit. We'll give that a couple more minutes to finish up on the stove. Just make sure you bring it all the way up to a boil, and then once you get there, you can turn it down to simmer and cover it and let it cook for 10 minutes. So our next thing is our carrot cake bites. So what we're gonna start with is our dry ingredients. So we have flour and oats, cinnamon, baking soda, and brown sugar. So simple stuff, hopefully you guys have on hand. We need 1/2 cup of flour. So I'm gonna make sure I use the right one here. This is just regular flour. You could substitute with by adding whole wheat flour if you wanted to. I chose not to just because whole wheat flour can tend to just weigh down whatever you're baking. It's a little bit thicker and heavy. So if you are substituting, we are adding oats to this, and oats are whole grain as well. So you're still getting a good amount of whole grains in this. And we are gonna do a whole cup. Now, I just grabbed whatever oats I had on hand. We have these quick oats. You could use old-fashioned if you had that instead, but it's just, again, whatever you have on hand. So we just 1 cup of those. And then we are also going to be adding a little bit of cinnamon and baking soda. So we need a tablespoon of cinnamon. So part of trying to save money is by using things that you already have in your pantry. So a lot of this stuff that we are making, a lot of the recipes that actually come out of our cookbook that you guys can get are all things that are easy to find, easy to already have on hand, not super expensive. So hopefully these would be helpful recipes for you guys. And then the last thing is half a teaspoon of baking soda. And so we'll do that, mix it all together. Oops, I forgot our brown sugar. We also have to add that too. There is sugar in this, of course. These are carrot cake bites. We want them to be sweet. They are meant to be more of a dessert or something you have in smaller portions. We're not gonna eat a whole bunch of these. So there is sugar in this, which is perfectly okay, of course, in moderation. So we're doing 1 cup of brown sugar. And I'm gonna pack that in there a little bit. I'm not gonna really pack it hard, but just enough so that we know we have our cup. Now you could adjust that as you see fit. You know, I would maybe play around with this recipe and try it with half a cup of brown sugar or 3/4 of a cup instead of that whole cup. I love to play around with recipes like that, but if that's something that your family won't like them if you have less sugar, then make it with the whole cup of sugar. There's still a healthy option for you. So that's all of our dry ingredients. We just have it nice and mixed together really well. If you have any clumps, making sure you get all of that out. So our next thing is our wet ingredients. First thing I'm gonna do is chop up my carrots a little bit more. I did buy the shredded carrots, the matchstick shredded carrots already. You could shred your own. I like to buy, another trick for you, to buy just the pre-shredded. It's not very expensive, but then I can already use it in things like salads, in stir fries, and I don't have to worry about chopping it up, you know, or anything like that. It can be a quick addition, a way to get those vegetables in without having to spend a whole lot of time. So keep that in mind too when you are shopping, that buy things that you'll actually use that can save you time, because if you're buying stuff and you're not gonna have the time to cook it, then you're probably gonna end up throwing it away in the trash, and that's something we want to avoid, right? We don't wanna end up wasting that food. This is part of saving money as well, is reducing that food waste. Okay, we're gonna do all of our wet ingredients in our KitchenAid here. So we have a whole cup of these shredded carrots. Let's see if I chopped up enough. I think I got just enough. And we'll just mix all this together. You could do this with, you know, a large bowl and a spoon. You can use, you could do it another way if you want to, but this is just, was easy, we had it, and it's a way for me to utilize our KitchenAid here. So the other thing, I am switching it up a little bit. I'm doing applesauce instead of butter. This is a good substitute for butter if you are baking, so keep that in mind. So we're gonna actually add this in. I'll kind of get the rest of our ingredients together, and we'll see you back in just a second to finish blending this all up.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping home secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
All right, we have our dry mix done. So up next is we're gonna add in a little bit of applesauce. And like I said, we're substituting this for butter. So we'll see how it turns out. I like to use applesauce in place. Applesauce is very sweet, so, and I buy the unsweetened and it's still very sweet. So it adds a little bit of sweetness to a dish, but it's also not overwhelming. It's not the same as if you were using bananas, which are gonna be a lot sweeter. We also have our cup of carrots in there, and then I did add 1 egg as well, just to go ahead and get that done with. So up next we have our cream cheese, and I used that 1/3 fat, the lower fat cream cheese option, just to reduce that saturated fat intake a little bit. And so we're just using half of our cream cheese package. You could save that to make the recipe again later. And then we also have raisins, and we're doing half a cup of raisins. Use that same. And I like the golden raisins. You can buy whichever one. They're about the same price. But raisins are really great to have on hand just for recipes, for snacks. You could make your own trail mix. So that is another way that you can save a little bit of money by buying it in bulk and then making your own amounts as you see fit. So if you wanted to throw it in different things or make your own trail mix in your own little baggies, save a little money that way. So then we're just gonna turn this on. Make sure I lock that, and blend it all up. And some other things that you can keep in mind when you are shopping in the grocery store is to always look for that unit price. So that'll help save you a little bit of money too. Your unit price it's by weight, so it might be per ounces or per pounds, but it's a way for you to compare 2 different items and see which one is the better buy. So always check your unit price when you're looking at things like different brands of raisins or different brands of applesauce, and that'll help you just make a smart choice as well. Okay, so we're gonna add in our dry ingredients to our wet. I'll just mix those up. And then just stir it all together. Smells so good, that cinnamon in there and the brown sugar. I love carrot cake, so I'm excited. This is a fun way to get vegetables in as well, while also treating yourself a little bit, because we like to do that as well also. All right, so that's all mixed together. You just wanna stir it until it's kind of uniform. And then we are gonna put it all in our little mini muffin pan here. So our recipe actually says you can drop them onto a cookie sheet, and you could do it, that way. I just thought mini muffins would be cute and it wouldn't be just like a big blob. So I usually fill it about 3/4 of the way full, just so that it will, if it expands at all, it won't expand too much and kind of go over our muffin cup. But we'll fill all of these, and then we're gonna throw them into the oven for about 10 minutes. And we'll check it. So we're gonna show you this when it's all done. We'll give you a little preview of that. We're gonna move over to our skillet recipe over here, and we're gonna do the last little step with that, which is gonna be, I'll scoot this step, is gonna be topping our dinner with a little bit of cheese. So we have that reduced fat cheese. Cheese is one of those things I always just buy the store brand. It's a way to save money. It's usually a little bit more affordable, and I just find the reduced fat options. So that is one thing. There's certain things that maybe you're a little bit more hesitant to do store-bought versus name brand, and maybe you're die-hard for certain name brands. But if there are places where you can substitute that store brand option, it is a way for you to save a couple bucks. So cheese is one of those that I typically buy that store brand option. And we're just doing half a cup. Looks and smells so good. And we're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top. And then you kind of have your homemade hamburger helper. So it is ready to go. And you've got your healthy, leaner meat in there. You've got some vegetables as well, some low-fat dairy, your grains. So this is a really good recipe to make that is quick, easy, can feed the whole family, and can save you a little bit of money. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you guys back next time for At the Table.